All right. So what do you have for us, Ro, tonight?
Okay. Do you want to start out with maybe explaining what the whole movement Save the Estates is about? Why this was started? I mean, it's obvious to me and you, but maybe there's some people out there that have been living under rocks. It is the estates, you know?
And it was back in 2020.
Yeah.
And it was just prior to or just shortly after the stormwater tax issue. From that, essentially, it was just how do we protect ourselves? For instance, we had 600 and some odd people sitting inside the commission chamber, and really, if we had that all the time for all the issues that we have out here, it would speak volumes. And that's where the thought was, why aren't we actually considering becoming a town? Because we are roughly 35,000 people out here. We're actually a really big town, to be real honest with you. Some of the questions, I guess, that went through my mind is feasibly, is it sound to do something like this? And that's where I think we started, pulling people, Angie, Jill, a few other folks together and started going through the just maturations of how do we do this? Does it make sense? Is there any opportunity? And we brought this then to Mike Ramsey in the Golden Gate Civic Area Civic Association, right, and brought it to his attention. And from there, then it's just begun growing on its own naturally. We've brought a few people in. We've actually got a gentleman. He was a professor over at FAU, specializing in, I think it was urban studies. And he put together a feasibility study, and he more or less looked at us and said, why aren't you guys a town already? Just because of the size and sheer volume of people. And additionally, with just the people part of it was, you guys really have what it takes to make it a good town. And so that's where it started.
Now, here's a question for y'all.
You want to add anything, Joe?
He was the chair of the urban and regional planning at Florida Atlantic University. Now he's in Seattle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
Yeah,
now
move it
the
out to,
study that's up
Washington
there,
State.
the study that's up there, that's been updated or
It
being
has been.
updated as we
It's
speak.
exactly. It's being updated as we speak.
Okay. And the consensus basically is that it's still a viable situation for us.
Yes. The numbers are even better now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an
Yeah,
important.
significantly
Like,
better.
let's just say the assessed value has gone up over $1 billion in 1 year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Now, here's a question for you that has been posed to me by many, many, many people, because we know that there are people out there in our groups that also were in the former or original, whatever you want to call it, cows group, and through Golden Gate Estates neighbors, even on what was it, Just the Estates, and even one of the moms group. From what I understand, I do not belong to it. But saying that they've done the research, they have done all of this research for years and years and years, and it is not viable. It is not going to work. It's going to double the taxes. Actually, I saw that this morning. Somebody had posted that it's going to double the taxes. We're going to get worse service. It's going to just increase the amount of everything that we're paying. And that's something I think maybe y'all should address.
Sure.
This
So
survey or
if they've
research.
already, if they've already done the research and they've already done the studies, it would be news to the legislature, because that's where you have to go through the legislature to do this process. They are unaware of any other feasibility study being done and submitted prior to ours.
And that's something they can't do without submitting it.
Well, you wouldn't, there's no, I have yet to see anyone come forth with a feasibility study prior to ours.
Okay. I have yet to see that as well. So that I found to be more than problematic, because when people are out there saying, oh, it's going to cost you more money, it's going to double your taxes, we're going to get less services, we're going to have to fund what was the last one I heard? We're going to have to fund our own schools, police, and so on. And that's not the truth, is it?
It's not the truth. The general fund pays for the sheriff's office, for all of your 5 constitutional officers. So appraiser, tax collector, clerk of courts, sheriff, and who's the other one? I always forget one.
Actually, I'll open the slide here.
The attorney, maybe?
No, but the attorney comes out of the general fund. What we would, what we would be responsible for is whatever is the unincorporated portion of your tax bill. So that is your local library, your local park, which is Max Haas, the local roads, not the county or state or federal roads, the local roads, the local stormwater swales, and then community services for, local community services, and just anything that's on the local level. That's what we would be responsible for.
So
the county's taking care right now.
We could put more of our money into what we want to spend it on.
Yes,
as
exactly.
Opposed to what they're saying to spend it on.
We could prioritize what we want to spend it on. Exactly.
Okay, now Angie said, mom's groups can't even know what to do if their kid has a fever.
No.
You're quite right. It's kind of scary. But yeah, that's something that I'm sure many people need to understand and need to know. I mean, to be brutally honest, our library is left out in the cold when it comes to the funding.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, believe it or not, people, Roe was a librarian, an actual librarian. There was a degree on the wall. And our library is so poorly funded.
Yes.
And the hours, our kids need to have it open longer.
Exactly. That's part of it. The hours for the library, the hours for when you have to get things done, because we're working class. We're not available during the day to go get our license renewed and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. I don't even think we have an actual librarian in our library. I think we only have clerks.
Right.
Which is kind of a really sad situation. But I'll get off the library stuff. Okay, let's see.
And then the thing with the schools is already, that's a separate line item on your tax bill. That's not
Yeah.
going to change.
Absolutely.
All that, somebody brought up waste management. That's something that everybody pays. The county has a contract with waste management. We would not break that contract. We would still get that service through the
Okay.
county.
And Angie just said, and I've never heard of another real study being done. It's been discussed, but not really been explored.
Right, because it costs money. I mean, we had to put out money to get this study done.
Yeah, absolutely.
And-
So basically it was some lay people
Right.
scrounging around trying to get information that they have no freaking clue what in the hell they're doing.
Right. If it was even done.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be
Absolutely.
somebody sitting out somebody's backyard and just talking and shooting the shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, numbers.
Absolutely. Okay, here's one for you. If anybody got questions, come on, toss them out, man. I've been looking up, everybody's comments and putting the questions down here. So if anybody's got questions, please let me know. I've got one here and this is like, it comes up all the time. It's, how can you prove that you're not going to turn this Golden Gate Estates into an HOA? I mean, to me, it's not rocket science. It's a no-brainer, but please explain that.
Well, HOA, they don't have limitations that a town would have. And everybody knows the horrors of the HOA. They want everybody to have the same color paint and the same tile. And, that's absolutely not what we're trying to do. We're trying to manage, what's going on with planning for our future development. Have a voice at tables that we don't have a voice right now. I mean, we don't even know half the times when a project is coming up that's going to affect us. Any developer gets like 18-month lead time before we even find out about a NIM meeting, and now they're even making the NIMs harder for you to make an opinion. They're just going to throw information at you. They don't want anyone talking anymore because of what happened at the sports complex with the banging on the thing.
Yeah.
So now they don't even want us going. They're always going to schedule them at times when we are not available. That's we want our voices heard. We want to have a say in what goes on in our town.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, can one of y'all explain how a deed is set up presently and how it cannot be changed? You cannot be forced to change it. I'll be back in 30 seconds.
Really?
A deed? I mean, if you're talking about a property deed?
Yeah, your property deed. That's what they're worried. You're going to make them change their deeds to an HOA.
Oh, no. Well, you couldn't do that. First off, that's when you do an HOA, that's a planned community that was already planned that it was going to be a condo or townhouses or
Absolutely.
a community. That also, they go through, now we're going to have the Big Cypress, town of Big Cypress and everything. Those are planned communities. And yeah, they'll have an HOA, but we don't want an HOA. We're going to have a town where we actually have a say. And we don't need an HOA because HOAs, that's when you're first starting out and you need to build all your infrastructure and everything. We have an infrastructure. Obviously, we want to enhance what we have.
Right.
That's part of why we want to do this, because we can prioritize what we want to enhance.
Right. But what a lot of people are saying is they think once we become a town that you're going to be able to say, this is an HOA now. These deeds are going to be restricted.
So there's property rights, and
absolutely
a town cannot go in and change a deed. There would have to be some kind of compensation, and it would have to be, a super majority. I would think of people wanting to do that, and that, that's real estate law and constitutional law. You can't just take what you have right now. So you have a piece of property, it's not developed, but it's zoned for a single family house. You're allowed to put a single family house on there. No one's going to tell you can't put a single family house on there.
Absolutely.
I mean, you have property rights.
Okay. Tracy is saying in layman's terms,
okay.
A, what would it take to make it happen? And B, what are the pros and cons?
Okay, so what it takes to make it happen is we have to have the state legislature, our representative, Lauren Mello, start the process for us. And there would be September of this year, she would have to start the process. We have a local bill and we would have the feasibility study that's being updated right now. It's almost done. She would bring that to the legislature. It'll go through the committees, they'll review it. And then it goes through the legislature in 2024. It's January through March is when they have their session.
Right.
So that would go through that process, hopefully pass through the committees, pass through the House, pass through the Senate, the governor signs it, and then we would have a question on the ballot in November of 2024. Do you want to have incorporate the town of Golden Gate Estates? It would be a yes or no question. And anybody that lives in the proposed town would be, and it's registered to vote, would be the ones that vote for it. So the process for us right now, in order for us to get Lauren to take our information and bring it to the House and start having it reviewed by the committees, is we need petitions. We need to show Lauren there's enough of us that are interested in doing this to make it worth her while, because it's a lot of work on her part too. You know, her office part, getting it through.
Right.
We have to show it's worth her while. There's enough of us that are interested in doing this. So that's why we're doing a petition drive now.
So
Okay.
just to follow up with that, just to give you a quick roadmap. So
Oh,
right now there's Florida statute 165 sets forth how this is done. Essentially, we've created the exploratory committee, done the feasibility study. We're educating and collecting signatures right now. Once that gets done, we have to educate our local representatives as well. The local bill, it's actually written right now. It essentially is the town charter with some legal fluff on the front end of it, essentially. And when everybody signs off on that, then it goes in front of we pass it through the House and the legislature, and the governor signs it, and community votes on it at that point. Then that's when the real work begins. We don't underestimate the amount of effort it's going to take to become a community. We have extremely diverse community, and we all have to make it happen.
okay. Jason says, what kind of timeline is involved? I think you already hit on that.
Yeah, so the timeline is that we need to have our feasibility study and the local bill, which includes the town charter, into the legislature by September 1.
Okay.
We have to have the petitions before that time so that Lauren knows that we're serious and we have enough people behind us.
Right. Now, the petitions, they can only be signed by estates residents, correct?
Yes, people that reside in the states and are registered voters. Those are the ones that count.
Okay. All right. Now, that's the question of the century, Tracy. Then how do we get it out there more? There's only 5 people on. We've been trying. I know personally, I've got press releases out to Naples Daily News. I've got press releases out to the Naples Daily News.
Okay,
and what's the one in Fort Myers? I can never remember the name of that. The News Press.
Yeah, the press.
Yeah. And Fox News and Wink.
Okay, good.
But whether they pick it up or not, I don't know. It's all a matter of, whether they do. I do have a call into Fox as well as Wink to see if we can't get somebody down on Sunday the 4th to cover
Okay, good.
the meeting there. But as to how we can get more people involved, I'm going to throw this out there. I don't know if this is something we can even do. Is there a petition that's printable online where people can go to their neighbor and say, hey, you're not on this site, or hey, you're not on Facebook. Can you sign this? Listen, this is what's going on.
Yes.
Is that something doable?
Yes, we have petitions online.
Okay, so we can
And that's
print out the
actually,
petition
yeah.
Yep.
and take it to your friends, anybody that you know. Have that done. Wondering if we can put one up at Fayard's, because I'll tell you that would probably be a smart thing for Fayard's, because if they're bringing in what did they say, Tractor Supply or something, that's going to take away our mom and pop businesses. So I mean, maybe they'll put a petition up and talk us up. Maybe I don't even know what's down there that next to the Bravo, the corner store. Used to be Rob's. Can't remember the name of it. Anyway, maybe some of those smaller stores will allow the petition to be in. Maybe we can get 7-Eleven to put it in. That'll cut down on their business. But yeah, we do have to get the word out, Tracy, big time. I mean, I'm sure after this airs, there's a way that Angie can put it up so this is shareable. You can share it with your friends, share it with local groups. Angie, can that be done? When Angie says it didn't help that the original Cows page was shut down.
Yeah.
And Angie was booted. I was booted too.
Yeah.
And we have to build back up, the membership back up, which is very true, Angie.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's sad. We had a lot of members, very active members. And unfortunately, you can't remember everybody's names.
Yeah, of course.
And it's very sad. Oh, that's a good one. Is there an actual way we can deter people from building on Band-Aid lots? I mean, we can't prevent it. I know that, property owners.
So we did discuss this at the last Q&A. A community can decide to make incentives to people to not build on those, and you can be creative with that. But obviously there's going to be some kind of compensation because that's property rights. But yeah.
Okay. So what kind of creativity can we do there? Any ideas or
get an assessment if there's lots right next to each other, try to encourage people to buy the other one out.
Yep.
Okay. That's a good idea, but unfortunately, a lot of people just don't have that kind of money.
Yeah. But maybe do some kind of, financial help.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, here's a good one, near and dear to many of our hearts. Would becoming a town hinder our Second Amendment rights? Would we be dealing with people telling us, no, we can't have berms? I know the answer to this, but.
So that is a state. The state has, so what happened is preempted. So what happens is under constitutional law, the federal government has the laws that it passes, and there's areas of the law that it controls. And then whatever it doesn't control, then the state gets to control. And then when the state doesn't control something, then the town or the counties can control. So the state has already said they are in control of the backyard shooting range, and a town cannot prohibit, or they just cannot prohibit it. So no, we cannot infringe on Second Amendment rights.
Actually,
absolutely. Or you can be unseated and get a $15,000 fine.
Yep. And we know that we have a commissioner that still is actively trying to.
I know.
Change that.
And yeah, he is. Well, there is no love lost between he and I.
Yeah.
That's for damn sure. Okay. Explain this government light, because I've been kind of talking it up and some people have been, what the heck you mean? I try explaining it, but you guys are the ones who know what you're talking about.
So if you look at our feasibility study, you'll see that there's 5 full-time employees that we contemplate having instead of having, out of control government. And then certain services you can contract for rather than having employees, full-time employees. And both Bonita Springs and Estero have that model, and they've been able to keep their millage rate. I think like 0.80 is their millage rate. Yeah, and they've been able to keep it. In fact, one of them just reduced theirs a little bit. So that's what we would like to do.
Okay,
we'd like to get the millage rate down and not have so much overhead that you're spending money just government bloat. So it's the counter of government bloat and run efficiently.
Absolutely. Now these 5 full-time employees, what positions would they?
Yeah. So town manager, assistant manager, a finance director, a town clerk, and an administrative assistant.
Okay.
And then when you'd have like your legal services, that would be, you have a town attorney, you would contract them out. Planning and zoning, you can either have an engineering firm Sometimes the town clerk can do that. It depends on who you have in that role.
Right.
They might be able to do that.
Might be able to
So-
multitask.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. Because in the beginning, there's not going to be a lot of business going on.
Right.
And the other thing too is we can simplify permitting process, that it doesn't have to be, 17 permits for putting a shed in your backyard and, 17 inspections. So,
Really?
Yeah, that's
I know they have-
I put up a pergola and I had to have 2 different inspections and 2 permits. And it was a kit from Sam's Club. Well, I was shocked that I had to do that, but
That's crazy.
I
There
want to be in
was a
compliance.
question about that. Won't a smaller, quotes, won't a smaller government light result in delay for permits, code enforcement, et cetera?
actually,
It'd
no,
be the
because if
opposite.
you don't make the process so complicated,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be delays.
So we would be able to change the process.
Yeah. So I just had a pool done, and don't even ask me how many permits and inspections. Bonita Springs. Now, the only thing about Bonita Springs is it is not online. It's not electronic. It's by paper. They only have 2 inspections. So it's, easy.
Okay.
and the nice part about this too is we aren't trying to cover Naples. We aren't trying to cover North Naples. We're
Right.
not trying to cover Immokalee. Not covering, Ave Maria
Yeah.
and Orange Blossom. So the county's got their hands full. And they do a good job for what they're doing,
Right.
but there's only so many people, right? So what the goal is, now that we can focus on just the town, you don't have all these other squirrels you're trying to chase. Sorry. So it helps us be more effective.
One person had said, why bother incorporating? We're still going to have problems with CCSO not being able to get to us in a normal amount of time. Same with EMS, same with fire. And I can tell you from personal experience, fire gets there relatively quickly. They do.
Mhm. Yeah.
But CCSO, yeah, not so much.
So do you think that if they had to answer to one person as opposed to answer to a town of 33,000 people, they might get there quicker? Or we decide that we need a little more coverage and we pay a little more to have some extra officers?
Yeah, I think we have, how many do we have assigned to us?
8?
I think there's not very many.
Yeah, I think we have 8, and I don't know how the shifts go.
And
Well, I can tell you it's terrible. I know at one point somebody had come up on my property, and my property was fenced, gated. My gate was locked. I mean, big industrial padlock. And they jumped the gates. We're in the back of, by the back of a pickup truck. I go out. Dog was barking. He was like, somebody's out here. Please help. And I opened the door, let the dog in, saw them, went to go get my sidearm, called the cops while I'm doing so. They jumped out. They ran across, jumped over my fence and crossed Everglades. Fine. I'm on the phone. Do you know it took them almost, a little over 30 minutes to get there. And it was, I was out on Vanderbilt Beach Road patrolling. You can't
that is
have
a
that.
problem.
You can't have that. And when my husband passed away, do you know it took them almost 30 minutes. It was like 28 minutes, 27 minutes to get to my house.
That's terrible.
And I mean, he was gone, but what if it was somebody that could have received help? Nobody was there to help. So I think
It's actually a pretty fair problem.
Yeah.
Especially on the east side. We don't have really any fire and rescue. They're going to put one up on DeSoto, right?
Yes.
DeSoto and Golden Gate eventually.
Yeah, DeSoto and Golden Gate. Yep.
Yeah.
But right now they're dealing with, I mean, anybody that's driven, I guess, east of Wilson in the past, I don't know, year, 2 year, it's forever to get down that street.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're running on the same roads that we are.
Well, the roads out that way. I lived on Everglades, and the roads are paved, but by putting up that fire station on the corner of the Boulevard and DeSoto, is that also going to take care of the people in the goddamn villages that are going to be like right across? Isn't that what that was put up for? Wasn't put up for us.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, the roads are county, so they can basically do whatever the heck they want out here.
Depends.
Well, the numbered roads aren't county; those are local.
But what about, the plans are for building like bridges to go all the way down to what is it, 951 or to wherever. I know they were talking about, somebody was saying 12th Avenue Southeast. They're going to build a bridge or something. And one of the people was very concerned because she lives on that street.
Mm-hmm.
And same like, let's say this Vanderbilt extension. If we incorporated, would we be able to say, hell no, you ain't going to continue it?
It's already been.
If it's already in the
been
plans and they've already, anything that's before incorporation,
Okay.
which may be why they hurried up to go past the 16th Street, because right now they were just to 16th.
Yeah. Now, see,
But what is there to stop us from putting like a 30-mile-an-hour speed zone on it to discourage people using it as a straight line?
So that would be a viable
Yeah.
thing to do. And if we had our own,
Yeah,
maybe
if it's our
one or
road,
two.
if it's our road and we're responsible for maintaining it, then we get to regulate it.
And what about the fines? That would go to the county, wouldn't it? If somebody got tickets, that money would go to the county.
It would be within the town.
Yeah, they would be the towns because it's the town's ordinance that they would be violating.
Ah, okay. Well, that's definitely a good thing. We have any questions out there, guys?
We do.
Can we stop the commercial building, like whatever is going up on Wilson and Golden Gate Boulevard, and more development, commercial development on Everglades and Golden Gate Boulevard, or are they just done deals?
So there's already neighborhood centers that are already in the plan, the comprehensive plan.
Right.
So if somebody has that property, it's already zoned that way. The only way to change it, if it hasn't been developed, the only way to change it would then again, like try to do an incentive to them to change it. You can't just, you have to give them some kind of compensation to change it. I mean, you can not approve things that if it's not developed already, if they come in and they want to change whatever, if they come in like what happens all the time now, you have a piece of property, it's zoned commercial, but you're only allowed to go 3 stories and you want to do 5 stories. Well, if somebody comes in and they want to do a 5 stories, they'll be like, nope, can't do it. And it might not be viable for them to do a 3-story. So then it would sit there.
Now, going back to the fines, Tracy said, is the fine decided by who is patrolling it?
Well, it would be in an ordinance. The fine would be whatever in the town ordinance.
All right, let's see what we have here. Oh, here's a good one. And this was posed quite a few times, was if we incorporate, would we finally get our damn ATV park?
Wouldn't that be great? We should.
The money's there. Or
yeah,
it's
we should
supposed to be
find
there.
Exactly. We should find a good place for that.
So if we become a town, that should be something that we bring forward to the new council.
Yep.
And if it's one of those things that, that a majority of the people want, because again, the council represents the 35,000 people out here. Hey, it is what it is.
Right, but the commissioners are supposed to represent us, and they really don't either. So
You have-
that's where
you have
people
5
are, you know.
But if we
not
did
concerned.
it, if we did it within our own town, it would be up to the community. Do they want it? And you would hope that the money that's there for it would be available for it.
Okay. Anything, guys? Oh, Angie, what's vote? This is a good one. Would we have our own dog catcher and dog pound? These freaking dogs are running all over and are going to get shot if they growl at my kids one more time.
That's a service that the community wants to have that they could vote in.
Yep. Yep.
That-
Get some extra officers that maybe work with DAS or you can do it on your own too. Get
Okay.
a full-time, that would be a full-time job, I think, right?
That would be a 24/7
Yeah.
job in the estates. Absolutely.
It would probably be worth it though. I feel so
It would.
bad for those dogs that get hit by cars and stuff. It's terrible.
Absolutely. And you know, a lot of it's education.
Yes.
You
a
know,
lot of it
people are
is.
like, I live out here in the boondocks. No, you don't. You own a Band-Aid lot. My dog doesn't leave the property. Somebody must have stolen it. No, dumbass. Your dog walked away. You know,
Please.
it's like,
What is that elephant?
but
Gotta have
oh,
it.
you know what's going to be said now. The vast majority, and this is probably roughly about 100 people I've spoken to, there's no way in hell I could vote for this because they're petrified Mike's going to have his hands in it.
Mike Ramsey is not. Mike Ramsey has not been in any of the community meetings that we've been holding. He gave us a platform at the Golden Gate Estates Civic Association to present the idea to that group, and we've grown from there. He does not have he's not behind the scenes telling us what to do. If I'm a very independent, smart, intelligent woman, and
Well, I know
a
that
very
too.
independent, smart, intelligent man, we're not answering to Mike Ramsey.
Okay.
So regardless
Go ahead. Yeah,
of whether
I mean,
he's involved
yeah.
to help us get us through to a town, he can be voted as a councilman like anyone else. It doesn't preclude him from
Right.
from holding an office. So
Same as anybody here can run for the office.
Of course, but what their concern is like kind of like the backing McDaniels gets. Getting the backing to go in and become mayor of the estates. That's a huge, huge issue for so many people.
what can I tell you?
I don't know what his intentions are or anything like that. I know he supports the movement. I know that for a fact.
Right.
But we were the ones that approached him because he has the background knowledge of the history, like especially when we were trying to figure out Orange Tree, because Orange Tree, we didn't know, has a separate agreement that they entered into. The county can't tell them what to do. They're their own special district. And so we couldn't force them to be in it. But if they decided later on they wanted to join us, they could. He had a lot of history and helped with the boundaries. Like he understands the mapping and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And he was on the Horizon Committee, the Horizon Study.
Yeah.
And he's on it again. They just appointed a bunch of people to that new one.
He's got equal concern as the rest of us about, just the nonsense going on in the state. So
Right. No,
At the end of the
I
day-
would have to agree with that.
But at the
Angie
end of
just
the
said
day,
Mike
he's
is
just-
smart as. Excuse my
Yeah,
mouth,
but at the end of
guys.
the day,
There's no
he's-
censor on Roe.
right. But again, at the end of the day, he's a single voice of
Right.
35,000 voices.
Right.
Yeah.
He wants to be king. Oh, Mark wants to be king too.
Yes.
Well, I guess they'll be fighting.
Yes, there's a big, that's going to be
Mark and Mike will be fighting over
Yes.
the crown.
Yes.
But he's one of the ones that said they did all the research. Mark Teeters was.
Right. Yeah. I don't
And
know when did
you
he
know
do it?
I'd
tell
like
you
to
what,
know.
I'd love to see it.
Yes.
And
Show
I
me
mean,
a
I don't know.
copy of
What
it.
does he do for a living? Does
I'm
anyone
not asking
know?
that one. What I'm saying is, if he has a feasibility study, I'd love to see it. I'd love to compare numbers.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would love to see the difference in the numbers, because if they did it, how many years ago, I'm sure the numbers are vastly different.
You want to see, I just got a brand new appraisal
Okay.
and
Oh, okay. So he's not like a college professor or
Yeah,
something, a
sorry.
financial wizard. Angie said he's a vacuum repairman. So he's not like a financial.
there's plenty of taxable revenue in this.
Yeah,
area.
the new feasibility study, there's 1 billion more taxable value than it was last year.
Nice.
1 billion. That's how
1
much
billion.
the value of the properties went up.
And by the way,
Luckily, we have Save Our Homes, so we're not getting taxed on all of that.
Yeah, but all the new construction that's going on
Oh, yeah.
is going to be
Absolutely.
coming through at these rates.
Yeah. Exactly.
And as homes sell, as people sell
People
and
leave-
cash out of the equity and new
Yeah.
people come in,
Yeah.
they're not going to be taxed at this new higher rate.
Yep, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Which
That's
means that there's going to be plenty.
They had
100% of all of that unincorporated money that is going out that's not coming back, just that in itself, just getting 100% of that will end up, it's
The-
huge.
our expert already said we could actually be feasible on just the unincorporated
That's
part.
what I'm talking
But-
about.
To share in the funding and to show the state that, we have skin in the game and do revenue sharing. But then.
and how do we
in the
do this
future-
revenue sharing?
So you have to show the state that you have 3 mills, to show that you can generate 3 mills of tax revenue. So we already have, and you can count your fire service districts. So we
Okay.
already have Greater Naples is 1.5, and then North Collier is 3.75. So we can use the 1.5 from Greater Naples because that's the lesser of the two. And then we add 1.5. Now the 1.5 for our end, we wouldn't be responsible for the 0.80 that we're already paying to the county. So that would come back. So our increase would be 0.70 mil. So that's how we get to 3. Then after the first year, we could start sharing in state revenue, and it's spelled out in the feasibility study. There's let's see, it's right at the end. There's a public service tax that we would get. We get also, there's a local government half-cent sales tax program that the state has. There's a gas tax, which would pay for your roads and bridges.
And all that
if we
would come
needed
back
them.
here into the
It would come
estates.
back to us instead of going to the
Yes.
county. The fuel tax that would come back. There's 2 components to the fuel tax, and one goes to roads and the other one goes to transportation. So all these will come back to us, and from that going forward, if we want to keep the 3 mills, because we're getting this other revenue, we can actually take our 1.5 and start reducing it, which is what, if you saw Bonita Springs and
Bonita,
Estero,
yeah.
they've been successful to do that. And that's the goal. So we don't always have to pay a 1.5 out of our pocket.
Right.
How long did it take before they actually were able to reduce their millage?
Pretty quickly. Like I think Bonita Springs, because they started annexing, they annexed like 12 different locations right on their borders. They were pretty quick because they haven't been, I'm trying to think how long ago they were incorporated.
A couple of years ago.
Yeah, like maybe 10
Really?
years
So that
ago.
quickly?
It was pretty quick, yeah. They had an article. I had to find the article and share it because they were bragging about it, and I thought it was pretty. That's why I actually went and looked at their charter. I looked at a bunch of charters for our proposed charter and
Right.
put a lot of protections in there. So we have spending caps. We have there's going to be a big purchase that the voters vote on it, not just the council. Those kind of things. So I should do a summary of the bill that we
Here's
have, the charter that we put together.
some of the revenue sources. So we've also got utility and franchise.
Oh, right,
tax-
utility and
taxes,
franchise fees that
or
we would
fees that
get.
we already pay.
So like when your electric bill, there's always that little franchise fee. Well, that goes to the county now. It would come to the town, people that, live here. And your cable bill, those amounts will come back to us.
And that adds up to a lot of money.
Yeah, and then we can use that money to enhance and make better, the internet stinks out here and the cell service sucks, and, use those dollars to put in some more, whatever we need to get communications out here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, that's something else that I've got here is a lot of people are concerned that if we become a town, we are going to be forced to have septic and city water.
City water and sewer, no,
Nope.
we would not.
City water,
That
and
is,
sewer,
that's
yeah.
one of the big things. Because we're low density and we want to stay low density and becoming a town, we can control the density. We want to also keep the septic and the well.
Yep.
Because if you look at the fees just for them to put water to your house, I mean, not even cost, what it will cost. I think that Bosie had a presentation for McDaniel, I think in December, and he said 10 years ago, they did a study about,
I remember that.
and it was $110,000 10 years ago to get water
Per
and sewer
house.
to your house, per house.
And that's
So,
fun.
and we
You
know
have to
after
pay for that.
COVID, everything's at least doubled after COVID. So
Oh,
what's
hell
it gonna
yeah.
be? $250,000 per house? I don't think so.
Yeah. Who can afford it?
Exactly.
They're going to
And
lose it.
And they can
but-
tell you, oh, you could pay over 30 years. I'm not paying it. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And they keep saying, it's better for the environment.
It's not.
Really?
It's not. That's wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you, during Irma, I know a lot of people who were in North Naples and
Oh, that was a mess.
their sewers backed up into their homes.
Yes. It was.
And
it's all the pump stuff.
fortunately, it didn't back up into my kids. It was just like 3 houses over that it stopped.
Mm.
But, out here in the Estates, guess who had water?
Yep.
Guess who could flush our toilets without problems?
Yep.
And contrary to Penny Taylor's belief,
Yes. I
we
know.
do have
modern
plumbing.
Yes.
Now, Angie just said, because we are in danger with no cell service when we
It's
have
so
a storm
true.
or fire,
So
which
true.
is very, very true.
Yeah.
Very true. It's brutal. Okay. Now, we're talking about 5 council members.
Yes.
Okay. Now, are they full-time or part-time?
Part-time.
Okay, they're part-time.
Mhm.
Do we have to pay them is one of the
Very,
questions.
it's nominal. I think we said, it's a nominal fee. It's not, they're not going to make a career out of it. That's for sure. I mean, like maybe $1,000 a month.
A month?
Yeah. Because it's part-time. They'll meet like twice a month or something, maybe.
I don't know. Some of our commissioners for the county aren't worth $1,000 a month. Just
Yeah, I
saying.
Yeah, it's not going to be a career politician. That's for sure.
Okay. Now, this is something that was posed by someone who, it's someone I know very, very well. She was a volunteer first aid, whatever they call them, EMS.
Mhm.
But now, naturally, she's moved down here. They don't have that. She
Right.
said, wouldn't it be better if we also incorporated a volunteer EMS, volunteer fire?
If
We definitely
That's
could
what
do that if
people
that's what
want,
people
again.
want. Absolutely. To enhance
Because
what
we're
we
right
have.
there.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think that. I thought it sounded great to me. Why not have volunteers go in and help?
Mhm.
You
What
know,
would this do for mosquito control?
What would happen with that? It's a separate line item on our,
Would that fall under county or under,
it's on our,
City.
it's a separate line item on our tax bill already. So it's a county thing, but we wouldn't pay extra for it unless we said that we
so
needed
it
more.
would just continue?
That would continue in place.
because I don't know. I think that's a good idea. I really do, because especially it's hard
Yeah.
getting people out here within a reasonable amount of time. And I can tell you, I've lived in places where they had both paid and volunteer working hand in hand. And the volunteers, if they were at their house 3 blocks away, they'd be at that house
Yeah.
working on somebody, a first aid responder, working on somebody when the ambulance got there. So that would probably be a very big plus for our community.
Yeah, again, if that's
Firefighters
something
probably live out here anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Half the firefighters probably live out here already.
Yeah. Because they can't afford to live anywhere else.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Now, another thing that was brought up, I don't think I wrote it down, but our medians and all of the wonderful plantings that are in there. They cost a lot of money to maintain.
Yes.
actually, how much, Jill?
It's, well, let's see, out of the unincorporated $75 million, I think 14 million goes to the medians.
A mere bag of shells. God. But why can't we, and this was, I thought was smart. Why can't we just put native,
Yes. So
drought resistant?
I am a master gardener, and I volunteer up at the IFAS office, the demonstration gardens, and that would be like one of the things I would suggest. Go in, talk with them. They that's what they're there for.
Yeah.
They're there for to help you. Like put the right plant in the right place is their motto.
Absolutely.
And they would love to do something like that.
And it would cut down on so
Yes.
much ridiculous,
Water, fertilizer, all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. Yeah.
and they're worried about our septic systems, and it's the fertilizer that's
Mhm.
creating a problem.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know. To me, it's just, I don't think it's rocket science.
Yeah.
Do we have any other questions out there, guys? Volunteers have to be trained first, or
course.
else the lawsuits will come. Of course. Of
Yeah.
course. Okay, somebody type. Well, hopefully we'll have a good showing. I'll be there.
Good.
Well,
Y'all will
you're
be there.
Yes. Cowbells on. Yes.
And maybe we should have an incentive. I don't know. I'll bring Kit Kat bars or something.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Get an incentive going.
Or something.
Yeah, see, well, I'd bring what I like, but that would be a no-no. That would be a definite no-no. Okay, Angie will be there with her cowbells on. I want your word on that, girl. I want to see those cowbells. All right, guys. I think we're pretty much
you.
set.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. See you on Sunday.
Okay.
All
See you
right,
then.
bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.